My tree is bigger than your tree. It's a thing. Bigotry. My tree is bigger than your tree. All right. That's an arrogance component of Ravenclaw. By the way, they think that they do it against Gryffindors too. This is a problem. So they think because they get all these new downloads that they're always in the right when the Gryffindors have to do the physical slave labor and get shot and beat to death. Okay, so there's an issue that Ravenclaws have to develop where, like, they don't come off like assholes to the Gryffindors. Genius. So it's like they think their non-violent component is going to be better or more sophisticated than the Gryffindors doing Cobra acid, and it isn't. Because the Gryffindors are usually the first ones on the field. So this is a huge problem in warfare, by the way. Just so everybody knows, is like the soldiers in the field, they get constantly bombarded by everybody's psycho opinions. But those people are not in the field. And they all have, like, they're the penny audience of what is required when you're in the midst of war. And they all think they know something, and they all think they know better, and they ain't in the war. Okay? So this is also the problem between Kamail and Zadkiel. I don't think that Kelly's going to have this problem. That's why she gets to be the head. But this is the big problem between that, is like a Gryffindor is the first responder. And it goes from 0 light to some light. And that's a lot harder than taking some light and going. It's a lot harder to go from nothing into some, just like something, you know? And it's just like, okay. Whereas a Ravenclaw gets to look at what a Gryffindor does, piss on it 500 times over, and then goes, here's 50 better things. So that's a form of bigotry. And it's doing it without, like, compassion. If it's doing it of compassion and of service, then it's of value. Now, the thing about a Gryffindor and a Ravenclaw is the Gryffindors aren't stabbing the Ravenclaws, you know? It's the Slytherin or the Muggle. And sometimes it's the Hufflepuff that hasn't quite really, like, learned their lesson. So the main component of Hufflepuff, learning how to be an authentic friend. So a Gryffindor and a Ravenclaw already understand the lesson of being authentic friend. So the bigotry isn't that bad here, because it's still both above the wheel. The bigotry is more, how do you deal with the Muggles? How do you... You're like, my tree is definitely bigger than your guys' tree. So then, like, what's the point? So it's learning how to rise above that, like, arrogance or narcissism, or that, and learn how to feed them instead from your bigger tree. All right, the raven and the witch. I am older than you guys. How does that feel? All right. The main problem I have lived with my entire existence was a bunch of old fat women that thought they owned me because they were of a higher age physically than me. And that they thought they were my alphas just based on their age or their experience in this lifetime. But that would be like Katara pissing on Korra because Korra is a teenager. Like, she's not the Avatar because she's only a teenager. And these lesser mediocre women that are like 90 years old or 60 years old or 40, you know, think they're 30 times better and more important than Korra. Unbelievable. To be spat on and told I'm immature over and over again. This is what we will be dealing with in the future, so be mindful. There will be masters that are like 8 years old that will look through you and go, you're a dipshit. You're a complete narcissist. And I know 50 levels of intelligence more that is mind-blowing. And you won't even listen to me because you think you're of a higher hierarchy because of your age. And these are the kids, these are going to be the magic kids. Now my thing is like, how do I make sure that that doesn't happen? So how do I be of service to those kids instead of like, because they'll have way level higher psychicism. They will have mind-blowing intelligence and be of a higher Christ consciousness than anything we have ever dealt with before. So we have downloaded already the idea of the indigo children, the crystal children, the rainbow children, and then we've got the glitter children. And the glitter children, that's going to be bizarro. Just the crystal children, the real crystal children is going to be bizarro. Okay. There is a whole new frontier of advancement of like alien kids. And there's no room for bigotry. Zero. So there's no room like, yeah, we established, like, if Kelly and I are the head of Gryffindor and Ravenclaw, that's like, we better fight for it. We have, like, work to do. And then at the end of the day, like, what we do is still just going to attract more advanced dragons and kids. Period. All day long. So the biggest way to approach that is, how do I be of service and how do I be tolerant with other people's things? All of these things include, I don't even want to talk about skin color. We should, at this point, we should be so over it. Transgender, pansexual, all middle sex. So doesn't want to identify. So then we go. So all of these are the tolerance issues that we will be battling. Not battling, like understanding. No gender norms. Because as we advanced into these like higher crystal level spaces, there is no such thing. There's barely such thing as like human. At this point, it's like, am I of service or am I a parasite? It's that. All right. I am over your soul age. So there's that. So I look at my nieces and I go, that one's the older soul, that's the newer soul, because of the different spiritual developments. But as we progress, that is no longer of value. So as the DNA develops, the soul age like diminishes because we start to collapse space and time. So that now we're just a multidimensional magical creature instead of a soul age. So now we're of a virtue system that does work instead of a soul age. So we're either a Ravenclaw or a Gryffindor or an Auror or a High Out, okay? But we're no longer like the third dimensional time spectrum is then we have that's the fourth dimensional time spectrum, by the way. The soul age component. This does not negate linear time. But what it does is it takes away. And now it's the, how many grids did I write? How much am I of value? How present am I? And then that. How much am I of service? And that connotes like your place on the tree. Nothing to do with soul age at all. The Raven and the Witch. So Hesed is about creating something out of nothing. How we did this were the crow circles. There's a key component to the how you get your power back if you're Muggle charmed. So if you're a Gryffindor and a Ravenclaw, you should never be getting Muggle charmed. You should have the DNA implants where the Muggle charm ceases to even stick. So a bunch of like while we're in the time the polarization field, it will be crazy because we'll have a bunch of old Slytherins that are now being Muggle charmed just fighting. So they might be hitting you a bit. But there's this key component to when you're a real Ravenclaw, true love is magic. True love. The love you would die for. Give your body, soul, brain, and everything for. And after the hunger strike, I found my solace feeding the crows in the crow circles. And that is a secondary way to get your power back. But you can't do it to get your power back. You have to do it with love. True love. Like you would die. You would get shot just to feed those crows. That you would You'd piss on the royal family publicly. And then wear a bright orange jacket like a target over and over and feed the crows in their backyard, pissing on them. Stuff like that. Where you love. That will give you your power back. It's a death circle. It's where you kill off your old self for a new one. Now, for the unforgivables. The reason why they're marked as unforgivable is because they don't love like that. So it's kind of a paradox. They say they love like that, but they don't. Because they would have shown up in the last year, you know? Or 2 years. How we created something out of nothing. I think it was Lucifer that goes, it's the freeing circles. So the freeing circles. So those crow or those raven circles is a huge component. When you need an extra boost or safety. Now, again, if you're somebody like Star or Brooke, somebody else that I've muggle charmed, it ain't gonna work. Because it will be only to exploit them. It has to come from a space of selflessness. True selflessness. And they don't know how to do that. So it has to come from a space of transcendence. Bigotry. I'm a bigot. But it was real. My bigotry is like the twin flame, twin dragon stuff. That's it. That's where I'm a bigot. Like if you're in a relationship, that's like not even a red and blue dragon. It's like death. So I have zero tolerance for that. Like if you're not even in a red and blue twin dragon relationship, instead of like a Lucifer Dino Star level. So if you're not in that, you're just a fraud. That's my bigotry. I have a sense of whatever around it. But be mindful. I don't care about people's skin color. I care about like what they do as of value and of service to the planet. That's it. Collie Run out.